What's up, y'all? How y'all doing? All right, well, I'm gonna get straight to the story. Um, okay. Back in 2016, back in 2016, I lived in Las Vegas. I lived in Las Vegas for 6 months. I wasn't there long. Las Vegas was the best experience ever. Ever. It took me a long time to regret my decision on moving to Los Angeles. It just took me a long time, but I'm going to continue on with this story. Um, so I lived in Las Vegas for 6 months. Um, prior to the last 2 months, prior to the last 2 months of me being in Las Vegas, I used to go back and forth to Los Angeles. The first time I went to Los Angeles, I auditioned for a boy band, that I made. It was a diverse boy band. At least that's what the production team was going for. Um, yeah, so I was one of the guys that made it. So so I still was going back and forth to to do rehearsal and to um do get to know the guys and get to know the production team, because I was so eager to at this point in my time, at this point in my life, I was just so eager to be a star. I was so eager to be in the music business, in the music industry, just to live out my dream. And okay. So I would say the last month, that's when I decided to move to California. I mean, that was already a decision anyway, since I was going back and forth. I was just trying to figure out, how the hell am I gonna move, just up and leave, my apartment in Las Vegas, everything behind. I had a good life in Las Vegas, I had a real good life. But I left everything behind. I did like a sublease on my apartment in Las Vegas, and um, soon as somebody took the apartment, that's when I just got all my shit and I left. Like I packed all my clothes and everything and just left. I think I sold some of the stuff in my apartment. Really, I didn't really have too much, but yeah, some of the stuff that I didn't take, I sold. So, soon as I got to California, whew, that first day, it that first day, I cried and I bust out in tears. I bust out in tears, and me looking back at it, it's kind of it's a little scary to me as I'm like looking back at it, because that first day that I actually moved to Los Angeles, well, California, I bust out in tears, and I don't know why I bust out in tears, but I was just so sad that I was just leaving Las Vegas, and I was like, I felt like I was leaving my life, but then again, I felt like I was doing something good, to help my life progress, and to help, you know, I'm thinking that, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna be this big star, I thought that this was it. I thought that this was gonna be it. So it's so much that happened. I'm trying to put this all in summary. This is just by me just talking. This is by scratch. So, okay, so we doing rehearsals. We did a couple of rehearsals. Okay, so it was three black guys and one Mexican and one, I believe he was Hispanic or something like that, but he was like a different race other than black. So we everything was fine. Everything goes good in the beginning. We all got along. I would say we all got along for at least a month or two, because it didn't last long. That shit bottled down really fast. It bottled down really fast. We all got along, and this is the time that this is the time that I showed my ass. And I thank God that I did that. I really thank God that I showed my ass. And people would say that I was toxic, but hey, I mean, I felt like I was protecting myself. I felt like I was protecting myself to get out of that shit. And you know how long that shit lasted? That shit lasted for probably like a year and some change. A year and some change. And I'm telling you that we did it. It started. We only got along for at least a month or two, and then all the rest of the shit, it was just. This is when I started smoking weed. This is when weed came to the picture. This is when I was stressed out. I was going through it. I was just really stressed out because of the production team that was handling us, that was controlling us, that was just trying to control our whole lifestyle. So back to the audition. So the people that held the audition was a mom and a son. But but in the beginning, they wasn't trying to tell us that it was that they was mom and son. They was just business partners. And they had these little business cards, that they gave to us, in the audition room to, to make it believe that they was just this top notch type of company. Of course, we're going to believe it. Of course, I'm asleep. This is when I'm asleep. I'm just, just getting manipulated and just controlled without me even knowing. So, I did the audition, I sung, and, we had to do a dance audition as well. And I passed that too. This is a touchy story because I wasn't going to say anything. I was just going to leave this behind. But I felt like this will help a lot of people, for the long run in the future, because this music business is demonic. This music business is crazy. And when I was going through it the most and I was trying to call my family and trying to tell them that California has the most demonic people ever, they didn't really get me. They really didn't understand what I was saying because they wasn't in it. You had to be in it to understand. So back to this group, and honestly, I'm going to tell the whole truth. And I know was a mistake. I knew this was a mistake in the beginning anyway. It was relationships within the group as well. I was in a relationship with one of the members. It was another relationship in the group. The son that in the beginning that held the audition with the mom, he was in the group as well. Now, we didn't know that he was going to be in a group. We didn't know that he was going to be a Beyonce. We didn't know that he was going to be the Beyonce and that his mom was basically doing this whole thing because of him, because he wanted to be in a group, because he knew that he couldn't, be out there and make it on his own because of his image and the way he probably looked. He wasn't he wasn't that much attractive, so he needed 4 other attractive men to help him make it. And to make us look like we was the backup singers. At the time, my mindset, I wasn't having that shit. I felt like I had a lot of talent. I felt like a nigga like me ain't gonna be no backup singer. That's how I was, looking at it, because they made it seem like, the mom and the son made it seem like they just gonna, they knew all these type of, industry people, they gonna help us out and they gonna, make us become these big stars. That was totally the opposite. They put on this huge facade, making it seem like they knew celebrities and they knew everybody. They knew some people in the industry to help us out. No, No. Once I moved there, I moved into their apartment. They lived in Van Nuys, California, and I saw it from there. I saw it from there. I saw it from there. The son that I'm talking about, he was younger than everybody else. I believe he was about like 20, 21, and at the time I believe I was like 27. But he was younger, and he was still getting treated like a child to his mom. His mom was a narcissist, was a demon. When I tell you, his mom was a demon that I didn't see until I moved to their apartment. His mom was a demon, and it made him into one. It made him into a demon. Sometimes, some nights, and there's another member that can really that can go along with me, because I believe it was me that moved in that apartment, because I'm coming from Las Vegas, and there was another member. He left his apartment to move in the apartment because we wasn't going to be there for long. They whole plan was to get a big house and move all the members in one house, so we can get to know each other, and we can come as one, and be the best group ever. But some nights, I'm going back to the apartment. Some nights she would wake up, she would drag him, she would pull him into her room, because it was only a 1-bedroom apartment. He slept in the living room. He slept on the floor in the living room, and me and the other members slept on the couches. So it was, he slept. He had this little comfortable, little air mattress and stuff that he made for himself. But his mom would pull him into the room and beat him and yell at him. But she would not. She wasn't trying to wake nobody up. But she would it's like a secret yell. You know how somebody yell but they they whispering at the same time. It was something like that. And he was getting beat down because she wanted him to be good in school, and he wasn't doing too well in with school or anything. But that is a way that you do that, not to wake him up in the middle of the night and just beat him. No, just beat him down. She was demon. She was a fucking demon. I'm sorry. Until this day, she was a fucking demon. I don't care. So, okay, they had this whole plan that we was going to move to Sylmore. To Sylmore, California. This had this big house that they was planning on moving to, because, I guess they was waiting on their taxes, to pay for the house. And, I'm like, okay, they had this whole plan. Them two had this whole plan figured out to a T to make us believe that the shit was just valid. The shit that was just everything was just true. So we moved into this mansion, not this little mansion in Sylmar. All shit broke loose in that house. So all shit. Sometimes we would argue. Sometimes it was about to be physical fights in that house. And speaking, me and the other member, we are black, right along with the son and mom. The other two guys that was a different race, they wasn't trying to hear that shit. They wasn't trying to move in no house. They already lived in California. I believe one lived in West Hollywood, and another one of them lived in somewhere in the LA area. But they wasn't trying to give their whole life up, completely. And you know what? I'm glad they made that decision, because I believe it probably would have been worse. It probably would have been worse. They only came when it was like audition times, when it was rehearsal times, and to rehearse and stuff like that. So as all of this going on, this is when I started to see a lot more other people to join in the production team with the son and mom. This is when I started to see, yeah, we started to rehearsal, and we started to rehearse in front of other people, and then they started to, like us, and then they was like, okay, we like what we see, I want to join, I want to help out. And they was helping out by just manipulating and controlling us. All this shit is a game. This music industry is a game. Some shit that we didn't even know about. Clearly we didn't know about. Basically, we was just we would hear little stuff as the time go, but we wouldn't get like the full picture. It was like a big secret with everything. And me being as a tourist, I hate that shit. Nigga, you gonna tell me what's going on. But then again, I can only know what I know. I'm just in my mind, I'm thinking about the big picture. I'm thinking about making it as a star. I'm thinking about, being this huge star, just this is what I really wanted to do. Like I left Las Vegas to move to LA because this is at the time, this is what I really wanted. This is what I really wanted. And I sacrificed my own lifestyle that I was living in Las Vegas to move in an uncomfortable, position to, get what I really wanted. So we in the house, me and the other member, and the son and the mom. We in this house, and we would have fallouts. And the mom, she'll yell because, like I said, she was narcissistic. And she would just, whew, she was a handful. She was a handful. And this is when I had to work. I still had to work. I worked at a autistic school. I worked at an autistic school for, about 2 years, just, so I can, have my own money, I can still do what I can do. And I still had to pay rent there at the little mansion in Sylmore. I had to pay $700. And you know where that $700 went? To them. So they can buy furniture, and they can, they say that, it was more like I don't know. I don't even know what it's called, but they say that since, they given us everything, the house and, the production stuff, the studio time and stuff, that all of that covers within your rent, which was a lie. That shit was a lie. That shit was a lie. That shit was a lie because they had this connection with a landlord that was basically because she first of all, the mom, with the way that she do men dirty. She fucks up men like no other. It's females out here that are demons as well, and they can fuck your life up. Fuck your life up. And she was one of them. She would she would go on dates with guys, just try to get money out of them. Just to manipulate their mind and try to make it seem like she's so in love with them, but she really wasn't. She was just trying to, do what she can for her son, so he can make it. And we was the backup singers for her son. For her son. We did all these rehearsals. The only performance that we did was in Watts, the Watts Parade. The most ghettoest motherfucking shit ever. And we did a performance at a homeless shelter too. But you know how they kept us? They kept us by, and I believe in clone people too. This is when I found out people clone each other because what was the guy name? Because I don't want to get him wrong too. He was like a DJ, Reverend Run, no, something like that. He was like this big old school artist that was going to help us out. And he was cloned. You know how I found out he was cloned? Because one of the coworkers at my job, I was telling him the story, and he was like, you know, a lot of people out here be cloning each other. A lot of people out here ain't real. And he said that shit so calm to make me seem like I was just stupid. And I and I was like, no, no, they wouldn't do that. No, mm-mm. And he was looking at me like, man, you don't know how this shit can go, because he wanted to become a rapper, but he learned his lesson as well. So back to the story, you know, and they also, held us on by, us going to a record label, and they almost, the mom is basically talking to executives and producers on trying to make us get signed. It was like a con artist type of whole deal that they was doing. They try to make us sign this this type of agreement, contract, to make us still, be in control and stuff like that. And that's when something clicked in my mind, because I was so tired. I was so tired. There's a lot of stuff that happened, but I'm trying to, put everything in summary as much as I can. I was just so tired of the fighting, of the arguing, of the lying, of the sneaky ways that I was seeing, of the people, of the controlling, the manipulating. I was catching on to everything as shit was going on. A person like me going to catch up. I might catch up slow, but I'm going to catch up, and I'm going to see what's going on, because it was only me out there. Like I said in my previous videos, a lot of shit that I experienced by myself. I didn't have no backup to go to and say, and cry on, have a shoulder to cry on. All that shit was going on me. So I came off to these people as a toxic individual, because I was protecting myself. You see? I was protecting myself. And I was evil. I was showing my ass because I was tired. So that, and I gave up when they pulled this, signing the agreement, so they can keep us intact, because this is when everything was going downhill. So the mom made up this type of contract to make us, still be in it, so we won't just up and leave. And this is when she sat us down at the table, and she was smoked out. She was smoking. She was just smoked out, because she was just stressed out her damn self, and she was just going through it. It was a mess. But to end this whole thing is when I said no. I said no. And once I said no, this is when she said. And she knew that we didn't have no place to go, because we done gave up everything we had to move in this mansion. She said, if you're not going to be in this group, then it's no need for you to still be here, still stay here. I believe it was an argument with that as well. But then again, my mind was like, okay, all right, well, I guess, this is it. I have to do what I got to do. So me and the other member, it was one day that the mom and the son, they went somewhere. I believe she was at work, and I believe the son was at school. Me and the member that was there, me and him, we had this whole plan. We had this whole plan that we just gonna up and leave, and we don't know. We was just gonna up and leave to go to North Hollywood in this in this hotel that's like a extended stay. So we was in there we was at this hotel for 2 weeks. not knowing what's going to happen once the 2 weeks was over because you had to leave, because that was it. You can only stay for 2 weeks, and that shit was in the ground. That shit wasn't up to par. That shit was a mess. It was like a crackhead hotel. It was like a crackhead hotel. So we finally left there. We finally got the connection. We got the connection. Like I said before, it was other people in the production team that got added on with the mom and the son. So, being as though that me and the other member, we built our own connection with the other people that was in the production team. So we was calling them, telling them that we left the house. We no longer in that house no more. And, we need help because we in North Hollywood. We barely homeless. We don't have nowhere to go. And honestly, let me break this down to you as well. This is when I had the option to go back to Las Vegas, but this is when I was in a relationship with the other member. This is when I was in a relationship with the other member, and he didn't want to go to Las Vegas. He wanted to stay in California. So I stayed there. And I'm not putting it on him or anything, but I'm just telling you my decision that I made for myself because, at the time we only had each other. Yes, we was in a relationship, but it was more of a friendship as well. In my eyes, it was more of a friendship because me and him, we only had each other, in California because we wasn't from there. We didn't have family or anything. So anyway, I was just there, because he didn't want to go back home and I didn't want to go back home to Philadelphia. But then again, I stayed there because, for him as well. But anyway, back to us having the connection, telling other people that we was in this hotel. So this is when we moved to another part of this of California, of the city, to be, in one of the to be in a house that to be in a house. We moved in one of the production people's house, until we get on our feet, until, we save money up to get our own place. I believe that we was there for 4 months. It took us 4 months to save up to get back on our feet, to actually get our apartment and, to get back with just regular life and, just, still live in California. I didn't mind at the time. I didn't mind, to, stay with the other member because, we only had each other. So yeah, but being there at the house that we left from North Hollywood, that was another experience. That was another experience. That was another experience. That was. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell on these people because they did help us out, but they was demonic as well. They was demonic people as well. But they did help us out. They did get us out of being in that hotel and helping us come into their home for a little while until we get our shit back together. But they was demonic. They had a sense of control and manipulation on us as well. But they wasn't bad as the mom was to us.